The topic which assigned for me for today's discussion is curriculum, pedagogy and assessment. So being teachers, we all know that when we enter the classroom, we have to transact, we have to provide some material or some kind of learning experiences to our students. So then what is that? What kind of learning experiences or the learning materials we are going to transact to our students? That is nothing but curriculum. Without curriculum or without any information or without any hands-on resources, we can't speak or we can't interact with our students. So in that aspect, today I'm going to speak on curriculum, pedagogy and assessment. And I am going to emphasize more on the assessment part, and I am going to give a brief introduction about the curriculum and pedagogy and what are the structural changes in the curriculum and pedagogy and assessment with reference to NEP 2020. So our National Education Policy 2020, what recently we have seen, this policy, it emphasizes on the education system which was rooted in Indian ethos that contributes directly transforming the India, that is to Bharata. What we say, that is our Indian education system. Our education system, it was rooted in our Indian ethics and it wants to transform India into Bharat, and also it makes our Indian society as a vibrant knowledge society and equitable society through high quality education to all, not only to the particular section or particular class or caste or section of the society. It wants to provide high quality education to all, through which we can achieve or we can make our India a global knowledge superpower. That is what our NEP 2020 emphasizes on converting or transforming India into Bharat, and that Bharat should be a global knowledge superpower. And then it also aims to develop the main aim of the Indian system of education, what NEP says, that is the principles of this policy, NEP 2020, it aims or it prescribes the aims of education should be to develop good human beings capable of rational thought and action. So yes, of course, we know that we are all human beings, but nowadays what we are going to do, we are accepting whatever we are going to see or whatever we are going to listen without thinking, without any second thought about that. So, but the main purpose of education, it should develop or it should make human beings capable of rational thought and action. Not only in their thoughts, in the action also they should show the rationality. And then possessing compassion and empathy. The empathy, which is the main characteristic, what we are expecting, and that is lacking in our society. So we have to develop that compassion and empathy among our students. Courage and resilience. Resilience is also an important. If for a simple reasons we are not able to tolerate them. So here it has to develop the courage and resilience, scientific temper and creative imagination, sound ethical moorings and values. Therefore, it aims to produce engaged, productive and contributing citizens for building equitable, inclusive, plural society as envisaged by our constitution. What our constitution expects or said, we have to build up equitable, inclusive and plural society. For that, we require engaged, productive and contributing citizens. That should be the purpose of the education according to NEP 2020. And it also, again, it elaborates the aim of education. Nowadays, we can see in our education system where we are focusing more on the cognitive aspect of the students or learners. We are leaving behind the other aspects like affective domain or psychomotor domain. We are aiming towards only the cognitive development. But NEP 2020 says it should not concentrate only on cognitive development, but also it should aim towards building character and creating holistic and well-rounded individuals who are equipped with the 21st century skills. We are living in the 21st century. So, to cope up or to live in this 21st century society, we should develop the skills which enables us to live in such kind of society. So we have to equip our students with the 21st century skills, and we have to make them holistic and well-rounded individuals. Well-rounded means all-round development, what we say with respect to their cognitive development, with their affective development, and also psychomotor development. The skills what I told that comes in the psychomotor domain. So, and moreover, we have to emphasize more on the building of character. So, without character, Gandhiji also gives importance to character. Characterless education, what he says, that not has any values. So, therefore, we have to build character among our students who are the future citizens of this nation or this society. So, and we know that knowledge is there, and education should help in the manifestation of that knowledge to a perfection. Yes, all the human beings, whoever comes to this society or who are living on this earth, all of them are filled with the knowledge, but they don't know what knowledge they have. So education is going to help in the manifestation of that knowledge as the perfection. So that is possible through education. So therefore, if you want to provide such kind of education, or if you want to have the aim of education which aims at development of the all-round personality of the individual, or the development of the society or building of character, we require curriculum. And all the aspects of curriculum, whatever we include in our curriculum, that should be reoriented and revamped. That should be restructured to attain these critical goals. Whatever it is, if you want to develop the cognitive domain, affective domain, or psychomotor domain, or resilience, if you want to build up, or if you want to develop the character, or creativity, or critical thinking, or rational thinking, like that, we have to change. We have to reorient our curriculum. That is what learning experiences we are going to provide, and also the pedagogy, how we are going to teach. So that should be restructured. So then only we can achieve what the NEP 2020 says. In that background, NEP 2020 has suggested, it has recommended for changes in the curriculum, pedagogy, and assessment with reference to that area. Then what is curriculum in simple? So I'm going to give just a small introduction to the curriculum. So most of us are going to get confused, or we are going to equalize the syllabus with the curriculum. Yes, if we ask for somebody what is curriculum, they say it is syllabus, whatever we have in our textbook or whatever the references we have. But curriculum is not the syllabus. Syllabus is a part of the curriculum where the curriculum is a wider concept. So curriculum refers to the complete set of planned learning experiences. Planned learning, not, it is not disorganized. It is organized and it is a set of planned learning experiences provided to students, which encompasses both academic and non-academic activities. It includes both the academic and non-academic activities. And it is more than just a syllabus. We have prescribed syllabus for 11th, 12th or for our higher education. For different subjects, we have different syllabus. But that whatever the content, like for example, in the higher education, we are going to have 4 units or 5 units according to the credits for a paper or for a subject. So that is syllabus. That whole content or whatever the 5 or 4 units is not considered as the curriculum. That is syllabus. But the curriculum is both the academic and non-academic activities which we are going to plan for the whole program, like MA in economics or MSc physics or MSc mathematics, like that. It comprises all academic and non-academic activities. So it includes the goals, content, teaching methods, and assessment strategies used to guide learning, not only the content. So if you have gone through your curriculum, so the whole curriculum, if you have in that curriculum, we are going to, at first we are going to have a preamble, then goals of that program, and then content of the different subjects, and again learning outcomes will be defined for each subjects, like that. And teaching method, what is the transaction method prescribed, or what kind of transactions methods are going to be used to transact that content, and assessment strategies, how you are going to assess, what are the strategies you are going to use. So that is considered as per curriculum. So therefore, curriculum here, it is a framework for what students learn and how they learn it within an educational institution. What students are going to learn and how they learn it is the curriculum. So it is a simple and a brief uh, point regarding the curriculum. Then coming to the pedagogy. So first we used to have a teaching methods or teaching approach strategies. Now also we are going to use approaches and strategies. Whatever that we have, the whole thing comes under pedagogy. So please mute your mic. Okay, pedagogy in simple terms, it refers to the theory and practice of teaching. Theory, practice. So, what is teaching? We don't know what is teaching. Who had given the concept of teaching? Because all of us are teachers. We are going to teach. But we don't know the meaning of teaching. We can't give a perfect and a correct definition, a comprehensive definition for the teaching. It differs. So therefore, how we can define the teaching? What is the concept of teaching? And then how we are going to practice it? That is pedagogy. Both the theory and practice of teaching is considered or referred as pedagogy. It includes what and all it covers. It covers the methods and strategies the educators use to help students to learn. Whatever the methods, for example, here we are including 70 participants we are here. We can expect 70 methods and more than 70 strategies to teach our students or to transact the content or to transfer the content to our students. So that is considered as pedagogy. So it used to help students to learn, where we are going to consider the interaction between the educator, learner, and subject matter. Not only the educator or the teacher or learner or subject, The interaction between the educator, learner, and subject matter. Using the methods and strategies, we are going to help the students to learn. So that is considered as pedagogy. Then what is this effective pedagogy? Yes, of course, all of us are teachers and we are going to teach. We are going to have our own strategies and teaching methods. But all the teaching or all the pedagogy is not considered as the effective one. Then which is the effective pedagogy? So the effective pedagogy is which aims to foster meaningful and lasting learning. Meaningful means where the student should understand whatever the concepts or whatever the theory you are going to teach them. It should be meaningful and lasting learning. That means it should remain. They have to retain that learning by understanding how students learn. That means how we can make our pedagogy meaningful and last, how we can make our learning lasting learning. So for that, you have to understand how students are going to learn, and according to their learning, we have to structure our learning experiences. That means we have to understand the learning styles of the students, and according to that we have to structure the learning experiences. For example, here in our classroom we are going to have a mixed group of students. So mixed group of students, if with reference to intellectual ability, if we consider, we can see a normal probability curve in our classroom. That is, we are going to have all the three kinds of students, like average students, above average students, and below average students. That is with reference to intellectual ability. If we come to the other aspect, let us take the cultural background. So in the cultural background, we are going to have a diverse group, the students from different cultural background. And then if we come to the language background, we are going to expect students from different language background. So, and there are some students who are going to learn very slowly, and there are some students who can grasp whatever the teachers are going to inform very quickly. So, this is a diverse group. If I am going to follow a method which is suitable for only to the average group, then we are neglecting the other two groups. Or if we are going to concentrate, or our teaching method is going to concentrate on only towards the above average, then what about the other two? So therefore, here being a teacher, we should understand how students learn, how they are learning, what is their learning pace and all that. According to that, we can structure our learning experiences. What kind of learning experience should be provided to the students, and what kind of methods and strategies should be used by the educators. Then only your pedagogy becomes effective. So therefore, pedagogy in simple term, it is nothing but theory and practice of teaching. Okay, coming to the NEP 2020, what it says about the curriculum and pedagogy. So we know that since from our ancient society and all that, we are emphasizing, I already told, more on the cognitive aspect. And we are emphasizing on the rote learning or memorization. But NEP 2020 proposes a shift from this rote learning to a student-centric, experiential, and inquiry-based approach. And I told that it emphasizes on the holistic development, critical thinking, and the integration of vocational and digital learning. So if we want to shift from rote learning to the student-centric, then how should be our curriculum? So for that purpose, the NEP 2020 has said we have to restructure the curriculum. So the traditional 10 plus 2 system was replaced with the 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4 framework. Okay. And then it has said the education should be holistic and multidisciplinary. where a broad spectrum of subjects including arts, where see we are going to make students to learn science, maths, social or economics, language, that much only. But where it says it should be holistic by including arts, crafts, humanities, and occasional skills also, along with traditional academic disciplines. Whatever we are having with that, we have to include all this. And it also emphasizes on the reduced content. We daily we are going to see that our students, our children are going to school with a heavy bag on their shoulders. See, the NEP 2020 focus on core concepts and essential learning, going for deeper understanding and critical thinking. Instead of giving more content. Hey, Mama. So please mute your mic. The curriculum should focus on the concepts and essential learning for deeper understanding and critical thinking. And another one change, what it has said is flexibility and choice. So students will have more freedom to choose subjects and pursue their interests. If you go, I'm not going to discuss in detail about the NEP structure or lateral entry, exit, or like that. So here it gives flexibility for the students to select the subjects according to their interest. They can choose where whatever the subjects they are interested. If one student, for example, is studying in science, he can opt for a subject from the arts of his interest, like arts or crafts, or a subject from the humanities. That kind of freedom and flexibility is possible in NEP. And then another one change it has suggested is integration of vocational education. So integration of vocational training at all levels of education, which makes the education more practical and relevant. What we are going to do, we are going to provide only the theoretical knowledge. So it says vocational training should be integrated in our system of education, and it has focused, the last one is focused more on the foundational literacy and numeracy. That is, it has emphasized more on the early childhood education, emphasizing more on the foundational literacy and numeracy, because most of the students who are coming under this age group, that is at the 3 to 6, they are lagging behind with reference to the simple literacy and numeracy skills. So for that purpose, it has emphasized for a strong foundation for the education, that is giving a structure, what it says, foundational years, 5 years, which includes early childhood care education. And another one thing it has what it has suggested is experiential learning. So learning will be more hands-on engaging and emphasis on real world applications and problem solving. So here what we are going to do, whatever the knowledge we are going to teach to our students in the classroom, that should come into reality. For example, if we take the maths, in the maths, what we are going to do, we are going to make the students to simple, like if I take example 1 plus 1 equals 2. That means when the child goes back to the society or in these real life situations, the child should apply whatever the mathematics he has learned in the classroom. So therefore, here the NEP 2020, it emphasizes more on the real world applications and problem solving. The child should be able to solve the problems, whatever he is going to encounter in his daily life situations. So for that, what we have to do, we have to provide experiential learning and make students inquiry-based learners. That means we have to encourage the students to explore, question, and discover knowledge through their active participation. What is happening? in the society is that we are spoon feeding our students. Spoon feeding means we are providing the notes, points, and each and everything. We are not encouraging our students to go and explore wherever the knowledge is available, what are the resources. You should be a facilitator only, just you have to guide them. We are not encouraging them to explore, discover the knowledge, and we are curbing their questioning. If, for example, if a child asks a question in the classroom, the teacher may not encourage it. They may label the child as very naughty or misbehaving or indisciplined like that. So instead of that, encourage your child to question and explore the knowledge. And it also aims to foster critical thinking, problem solving, and creativity. That means now we are using 5E method of teaching based on the constructivist approach, where we are allowing the students to construct their knowledge on their own. They can construct their knowledge. So therefore, that kind of teaching should be there. Then another one change what it suggests is technology integration. Technology integration, nowadays we are living in the digital era. Yes, the technology is without technology. For example, if we take our classroom, you are sitting in somewhere far away from Mysore, and some people are from Mysore only, but still we are seeing one another and we are interacting with each other. So that is because of our digital advancement, or whatever the revolution had been taken in the field of technology. So we are using that technology. NEP emphasizes to use or to integrate the technology in our field of teaching and learning, like to enhance or to make our teaching effective. And it has suggested to take initiatives with the National Educational Technology Forum. And then coming to the assessment reforms, it promotes continuous and comprehensive evaluation, focusing more on the conceptual understanding and application rather than rote memorization. Instead of rote memorization, you have to assess students honestly and comprehensively. It says. And then coming to the teacher training, it emphasizes a need for comprehensive teacher training program to support the implementation of new pedagogical approach. So whatever the pedagogical approach was suggested by the NEP, if you want to implement that, we have to structure or we have to plan for a comprehensive teacher training program. So they are the main thing related to the what changes it has suggested to bring in the curriculum. Then if we go through whatever the stages I have told, traditional is 10 plus 2, but now 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 5, what it has suggested, it has the first stage is foundational stage. It is of 5 years. And here we are going to have a flexible like activity-based learning curriculum and pedagogy. And the second stage is the preparatory stage. Again, it is 3 years of education. Again, here also activity-based pedagogical and curricular style is followed. And with that, allied textbooks and some aspects of formal but interactive classroom learning are added to the preparatory stage. And then the next stage is the middle stage, that is 3 years of education, which emphasize more on the introduction of subject teachers and then discussion of the abstract concepts in each subjects, and also make the students to ready for the learning of subjects like science, maths, arts, social sciences, and humanities. And the pedagogy which we are going to follow in this stage is the experiential learning and explorations of relations among different subjects, whether science is related to maths is related to social, like that, where we have to make the students to explore the relations between the different subjects. And then secondary stage, it comprises of 4 years of multidisciplinary study and building on subject-oriented pedagogical and curricular style, like whatever we have followed in the middle stage, that kind of curricular and pedagogical style is used in the secondary stage. But here, more emphasis is given on the in-depth knowledge and critical thinking, and greater attention is given to aspirations, flexibility, and choice of students. Here, the students are allowed to select their subjects according to their interest. So that is about the curricular structural changes as suggested by the NEP 2020. If we come to the higher education, here even it says that higher education must aim to develop a thoughtful, well-rounded and creative individuals. And it should enable at the higher education level, the students have to study one or more specialized areas of interest at a deep level. That is special. For that purpose only, we are going to call it as a specialized. And at a deep, they are going to have
Tell me, I will only start taking printouts.
So they are going to have an in-depth knowledge of whatever the subject they are going to select, and also emphasize on development of character, ethical and constitutional values, intellectual curiosity, scientific temper, creativity, and spirit of service. Because after the completion of higher education, students are going back to the society where they should have a service oriented mind. So therefore, here whatever the subject, like whatever the disciplines, science, social science, arts, humanities, or technical or professional, anything, the students should, or the a system of education should aim at developing these values among our students. That takes place at the higher education. And apart from that, it has to enable, make them personal accomplishment and enlightenment, constructive public engagement, and productive contribution to the society. They should be in a condition to contribute to the society productively. Productively, I am emphasizing more on productive contribution, where they can help in the progress of the society, not adversely. So therefore, here we have to prepare our students to live a satisfying life and work roles and make them economically independent. So that should be the main aim of the education according to the NEP 2020. So therefore, it emphasizes make the students more specialized in one area of their interest with a great in-depth knowledge of the subject. So that only can make them prepare them for their work roles and economically independent. Then what kind of pedagogy it emphasizes? That is, the pedagogy should be student-centric, experiential learning, and inquiry-based approach to learn. Don't be what we say, you don't spoon feed anything. So instead of that, be a facilitator. Here the teacher role is a facilitator. Just he should act as a guide. He should encourage, he should guide the students to inquire about that, to find out that, to get experiences of practical knowledge. So then only they can develop the skills of critical thinking, problem solving, and creativity. Otherwise, they will become just passive learners. And moreover, if they come back to the society, they will not be able to perform their work roles effectively and to become economically independent. So therefore, we have to follow student-centric, experiential, and inquiry-based approach. That's why at the higher education level, we are going to have we are going to concentrate more on the lecture method and then discovery method and project method, where the students have to gain their knowledge on their own. And then it also emphasizes for the continuous evaluation and assessment of the students. And another one significant change in the pedagogy is the integration of technology in education. So I already told, so integration of technology, it emphasizes. So use online learning platforms, digital content, and virtual class. That's why we have SWAYAM, MOOCs, and other kinds of online learning platforms, which making the students to learn, or they can open up themselves to different uh, disciplines of education, and they become a diverse learners. So I told I'm going to concentrate on assessment. So assess what, then what is assessment? So I told that we are going to please mute your mic. We are going to give planned learning experiences to our students, and to transact that planned learning experiences. We are going to follow some pedagogy or some pedagogical approach, the different methods or strategies. And after that, how can we know about whatever the learning experiences have provided through my pedagogy, whether it has reached the student, whether they have learned it or not, how can I know that? So for that, being a teacher, apart from knowing about the curriculum and pedagogy, the teacher should have the knowledge of assessment. How we can assess our students, how we can assess our. So here, assessment refers to any process of gathering information about student learning that can be interpreted, analyzed, and assessment refers to any process of gathering information about student learning that can be interpreted, analyzed, and used by the teacher and also from others for guiding the teaching learning process, aggregating student learning at relevant junctures, and reporting student progress over time. What is assessment? We are going to gather information about the student learning. That is assessment. So after gathering information, we are going to analyze it and then interpret it. So we are going to get some findings or some inferences by getting the information on students' learning, and we are going to use that inferences, being a teacher, to guide the teaching learning process, whether my teaching learning process is effective or not, or what kind of modifications should I make, or whether the students are not able to understand my teaching methods. Like that, we can use that findings to guide the teaching learning process, students learning, etc., etc. And we can report the student progress. We can have a knowledge of their progress in the subject. That is assessment. If we go back to our ancient society, here we can see that I have mentioned different periods: Vedic period, Buddhist period, and Muslim period. So, in the Vedic period, we have Gurukula system. So, at that time, the assessment pattern was oral test and recitation. That is based on whatever the students are going to answer for the questions asked by the teacher or some other guru. According to that, we are going to assess our students. Recitation means they have to repeat whatever the teacher, they have to memorize and recall it. So that is based on that we are going to assess students. If we come to the Buddhist, again we can see oral. The pattern of assessment was oral test, again in the Muslim period of education also, it is oral test. And even if we come to the different reports or different recommendations of the different commissions, where the Sadler Commission, it has set up for the secondary and intermediate boards for the assessment, and HATA committee, it has concentrated on assessment only, essay type questions it has emphasized. And then if we come to the post-independent India, after getting the independence, whatever the changes or reformation we have seen or what we can see in our examination or our assessment. So the Tarachand committee, it has suggested for one public examination at the end of the secondary stage. See, one public exam. And then Secondary Education Commission, it has recommended for reduction of external examination and weightage should be given to other activities. External examination, don't give importance to the external examination, reduce the external examination and give weightage to the other activities. And if we come to the Kothari Commission, again it has suggested to improve the evaluation methods like public exam or whatever the other weightages or oral test, like that it has suggested to improve the evaluation methods. And Ishwar Bhai Patel committee, it has stressed on study, self-study instead of giving public examination or external examination or any other evaluation method. It has stressed on the self-study. And National Knowledge Commission, again, it has emphasized on need for revamping students' assessments through examination for bringing quality and confidence in the system of education. Even the National Knowledge Commission has also suggested to bring or to make changes in the students' assessment. Then if we come to our NEP, National Policy on Education, 1968 and 1986. 1968 National Policy on Education, it has recommended for a shift in the focus of evaluation from certification to improvement in learning. Instead of emphasizing on certification, you give importance to the improvement in learning. If we come to the 1986 NPE, it has suggested elimination of excessive element of chance and subjectivity. Chance means just by guessing the students are going to answer. So we have to eliminate that one. De-emphasize memorization, like just based on memorization, the students are memory questions we are going to. It has de-emphasized that one. It has recommended to introduce CC, that is continuous and comprehensive evaluation, what now we are going to follow. And then use of grades in the place of marks. Instead of marks, use the grades. You know about giving the disadvantages of marks. Based on the marks, we are going to give ranks to the students just by 1 marks. If a child is going to receive that, it is going to create a lot of stress among the students. So for that purpose, it has suggested to use grades in place of marks. And then it has suggested to recommended to introduce semester system from secondary stage in a phased manner. That is, nowadays at the secondary level, we are having semester system for this assessment. That is the main recommendation given by this 1968 and 86 National Policy on Education. Even the National Curriculum Framework, we have seen 4 frameworks, 1975, 1988, 2002, 2005. This National Curriculum Framework is a guideline for syllabus, textbooks, teaching practices and assessment of learning. So based on the significant recommendations of whatever the different committees and commissions and policy recommendations, the areas of teaching, learning and assessment for qualitative improvement in entire school system should implement new strategies. If you want to bring a qualitative improvement in teaching, learning and assessment, you have to implement the strategies, new strategies in all these three fields. But if you want to implement, yes, of course, we have came across through different committees and commissions. They have suggested and recommended for changes. But still we are not able to manage it, but still we are not able to implement a perfect or comprehensive assessment pattern. Why? Because we have some challenges. So, what are the current challenges in implementing these strategies to bring changes in the assessment pattern? If we see that currently our assessment is more mechanical and routinized. Yes, we may say we have CC, we have semester system, internal assessment, each and everything, but still it is mechanical and routinized. And it is focusing on measuring rote learning of content rather than achievement of measuring the achievement of competencies and learning outcomes. What we are going to have? We are going to have a last exam, that is what we say final exams. Again, it is a rote learning of the. We are not able to find out to what extent the individual has achieved the competencies and learning. And it is also what we say assessment. Just now we are going through the results of the CET and other competitive exams and all that, where it is generating fear and leading to labeling and segregation based on the marks. Based on the marks, it is we are going to label and segregate the students. And because of that labeling and segregation, the students, it is creating a fear among the students. So leading to a significant social consequences. Just because of the marks, students are going under stress and depression. So the stress caused by board examination at the grade 10 and 12 is even more. Okay, leave the uh, first primary stage. But when the child enters to the secondary stage, that too especially what we call board exams, the grade 10 and 12, the students are going to experience the stress. That is leading to deep anxiety, not only among students, among family members also. It has become a universal phenomenon in our country, where the board exams are creating stress on the students and also family members. And the present current structure, not reference to with all the board exams. Some board exams, they are concentrating only on the few curricular areas. Already I told, with reference to science and maths, they are emphasizing more on, because the parents, yes, of course, maybe parents even in the schools also, colleges also, as the teachers and the parents, they want to say that our children, they have got so good rank like that. So they are concentrating more on the curricular areas, that too especially some subjects are highlighted like science, maths and some other subjects in the science. They are concentrating more on the computer science only, like that, leaving or neglecting the biological science, social sciences, economics. So, how can we expect a good and all-round developed individuals for the society, where we are concentrating only on these and we are neglecting their other non-academic qualities? And This NEP, it also states the aim of the assessment should be shift from the summative. Summative means in the last what we are going to have from rote memorization to more regular and formative, and it should be competency based. Our assessment pattern in our school culture should be shifted from summative to the formative assessment and from rote memorization skills to competency based, whether the child or the student has achieved that competency. So that kind of assessment pattern we are going to expect. The NEP recommends, it says for the formative and competency based assessment pattern, and that should promote. Why we have to have formative and competent? Formative means nothing but regularly, periodically, what we say. So it promotes the learning and development of our students. It helps the students to learn and develop higher order skills like analysis, critical thinking, and conceptual clarity. So therefore, this kind of assessment will help both the teacher and students, entire school system to revise the teaching learning process for the purpose of optimized learning and development for all students. So NEP also emphasizes change in the assessment pattern where it asks the school system to shift from the rote memorization to the competency based and summative to the formative assessment. So therefore, it emphasizes the regular formative and competency based assessment to promote the learning and development of students, focuses on assessment for learning. One second. Yes, it is. So focuses on assessment for learning, and it tests the higher order skills and helps the schools to revise their teaching learning process. Again, we can see three approaches for assessment of learning. So they are assessment of learning, assessment for learning, and assessment as learning. These are the three approaches for assessment of learning. So let us see what it says. Assessment of learning means measurement of achievement of student learning. For example, what I have said, whatever exams and tests we are going to have, that is assessment of learning. We are going to measure the achievement of students' learn. To what extent the student has learned the content. That is first approach. Then coming to the second approach, assessment for learning. Assessment for learn, to learn. So here, evidence of student learning gathered by the teacher, it provides inputs to the guide the teaching learning process. So, student learning, whatever the teacher is going to collect the information, it provides inputs to the teacher to guide his or her teaching learning process. That is assessment for learning. For learning, I'm going to assess my students' learn. To learn, being a teacher, if you want to learn something, you have to assess your students' learn. Whatever the feedback you are going to get from your students' learning, that guides you to make changes in your teaching learning process. That is assessment for learning. And then another one thing is the assessment as learning. That is another one approach where these assessment as learning, it is nothing but they are non-threatening tools for self-reflection and introspection. It is a tool. It acts as a tool to have a reflection, have my own reflection, and to introspect myself. That means to review myself. For example, in our schools and colleges, we are going to have self-performance appraisal of the teachers. Performance appraisal of the teachers is there where the teachers may be appraised by their colleagues, by their higher authority, and by their students. And apart from that, the teachers are asked to assess themselves. That is, they are going to introspect themselves. They are going to reflect themselves. For what purpose? For development and constructive. If they want to be developed, they have to assess themselves. And that is referred as assessment as learning. These are the three approaches for assessment. Then what are the types of assessment? So coming to the types of assessment, what is the break time? 3:15.
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am,
3:15.
Are you online or?
Online, ma'am. We are all online.
Yes, yes. You are listening to me. Huh?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, okay. Then coming to the types of assessment. I told there are
Hello.
two types
Mama.
of assessment is there, formative and summative assessment. Whatever NEP 1968, 1986 and other committees what said, they are summative assessment. If you see the difference between these two types of assessment, summative assessment is we are going to evaluate the student learning at the end of the lesson. That is whatever the last exam, what we call C3 exam. But the formative assessments are continuous and ongoing. So nowadays we are having internal assessment periodically. In the school levels, we say periodical assessment or formative assessment 1, 2, 3, 4 we are going to have. In our higher education level, we are going to have two internal assessment. That means after the completion of the first 8 weeks of their learning, and then after completion of the 16 weeks of their learning, we are going to assess the students. That is with a periodical duration, we are going to assess them. That is continuous and ongoing. And why should we have this formative assessment? So we can track students learning to provide feedback that can be used by teachers to improve their teaching and by students to improve their learning, where it provides a feedback to the teachers to improve their teaching. For example, in the first formative assessment, if my students has not performed well, what can I do? I'm going to assess myself, and also I'm going to have a knowledge of why my students have not performed. So it provides a feedback to teachers to make changes in their pedagogy, their teaching methods, in their teaching strategies. And also it helps the students to improve their learning. For example, if the student is going to get a lower level of grade in the first assessment, he may try to improve his or her learning in the next coming periodical assessment. So that is formative assessment. And formative assessments are generally at low stake and do not have strong consequences. Some examples it includes, there are different types. I've taken some examples: observing student behavior in class, asking students to draw a concept map or represent their understanding on a topic, or write a few sentences. They are the different tasks what we can have in our formative assessment. Simply what we are going to have in our institutions is internal assessment. According to the content, whatever we have taught in the classroom, we are going to give questions and we are going to assess. That is another one example. In the summative assessment, where these summative assessments compare students' performance to a benchmark, a standard, and they have some consequences. With reference to some prescribed or predetermined benchmark or standard, we are going to compare the performance of the students. And then example for this is the term and test or the board exam. And sometimes these summative assessment results are used for the formative purposes, that is for teaching and learning, for improving the teaching and learning purpose. So these are the mainly two types of assessment, that is formative and summative assessment. Again, coming to the NEP, it has said holistic development. The progress should be holistic. So, for that purpose, what it has said, NEP, the progress card should be holistic in nature. It has emphasized on the progress card, which should be holistic in nature, and that progress card should reflect a 360-degree multi-dimensional report. 360-degree means you can think or you can imagine that all round, what we say, a multi-dimensional report where it has to give in detail the progress as well as uniqueness of the each learner. The uniqueness of the learner in all the three domains, that is cognitive, affective, and psychomotor domains. That kind of progress card, what the NEP 2020 suggests to provide to the students, where by going through that progress card, a teacher can find out, a teacher can have a knowledge of that particular student, whether he is good at the academic or affective or psychomotor, what are his problems, like that. And also we can identify the uniqueness of the students. So